Welcome to today's art video talk, where we continue talking about artist pigments. In this video, we are going to talk about specific brown pigments, two of them actually, pigment brown 33 and pigment brown 6, which are both called brown oxide, and both share many similar properties, including brown hue. However, they have slight difference, and in some instances you might choose to use one, and in other instances use another one for their unique properties. So those two pigments, pigment brown 33 and pigment brown 6, belong to earth pigments by their chemical composition, even though they have not been mined from the ground. They are synthetic pigments made by using modern science, and they do not contain natural clays, which usually make pigments more opaque and dull. They maintain, because they are synthetically made, high chroma, high saturation, and have much better coloring properties, including to some degree transparency, which is uncommon for earth pigments. So let's get back to our pigments. Pigment brown 33 and pigment brown 6 are brown oxide pigments which have hue which is something between brown and red. Now, the difference between the two is very subtle, and that's why I decided to cover both of them in the same pigment talk. For example, this one here is pigment brown 33, and this one here is pigment brown 6, both being called brown oxide. Their difference lies in that the pigment brown 33 is darker and closer to black than is pigment brown 6. And besides that, pigment brown 33 has one hue, which means that dark brown close to black hue, while pigment brown 6 has multiple hues in itself, which makes it very desirable pigment for landscape paintings. It has a reddish undertone similar to burnt sienna, but then at the top of it, it has this brownish, blackish particles which have granulating properties, so that when you paint both, it looks like you've layered multiple pigments one at the top of another, which actually wasn't the case. So let's talk about their artistic use and other important properties. First, health-wise, each pigment should be taken care of with utmost precaution, because particles are very small. If inhaled, they can cause lung irritation and various kinds of issues. Some are more dangerous than the others, and those two brown pigments belong to the group which is less dangerous, but still each pigment needs to be taken care of with, as I said, utmost precaution. They have brown hue, and here we have this pigment brown 6. If used in the mass tone, it has very dark brown hue. If used in the transparent layers, then it starts to develop multiple colors. Some of them are brownish, yellowish, almost burnt sienna orangish, and then at the top we can see here that we have this granulating black property at the top of it. Both pigments are very light fast and weather fast, which is 8 out of 8 on blue wool scale, and that is one of the reasons I love to use them. They will withstand test of time, and they've been classified as superb for artistic use. Now, in terms of their properties, when working with brown pigments, artists does need to be careful about where and when brown pigments are used. Sometimes artists have tendency to call any version and any hue of brown mud, which of course, if it's not intentional, could cause problems. But if it is intentional, then it does provide that beautiful complement to the vibrant sections of the painting and provides that extra feeling of depth and glow. In this case, this brown pigment is really stunning. I like this transition between oranges and brownish hues, which is so specific. It is granulating, it is opaque, as it can be seen here, so you cannot see any paper underneath. And it does need to be applied probably closer to the end of the painting rather than at the beginning, which means as one of the last layers, which is to be used on that section in the painting. As you can see here in the practical application, I apply this pigment in those crevices on this wood tile roof, which created that toned down and somehow dull background, which is exactly what I wanted in this painting, to contrast and complement this bright, beautiful, soft pink iris. And in those instances, I certainly could have mixed this dark brown blue or brown orange in various sections with other pigments, but using this iron oxide gave that almost three-dimensionality to the painting, because it just sank that background even further from the foreground, which gives that three-dimensional appearance of the pigment. Now, in terms of price, this pigment is not extremely expensive. It is classified as slightly more expensive than earth pigments, and it is of course something which you would benefit from purchasing as a pigment and making your own paint. I haven't seen it widely used among paint manufacturers, neither PBr33, neither PBr6. We have other earth pigment flavors which are frequently present all around, but not those two. And if you're looking for one of those unique once upon a time pigments which you have and you enjoy and you develop taste for it, this PBr6 is certainly one of them. For those who paint landscapes or rocky landscapes or architectural landscapes, I'm sure you will love it. It is extremely versatile. It has very long value range from the lightest light to the almost pitch black brown, and I'm sure you can paint the entire painting just by using this pigment, and people will think that you used multiple pigments because it's capable of dividing itself in multiple hues and creating that impression that you actually layered multiple various pigments when in essence you just used one. So that is a pigment for today, which I would like to introduce you to, PBr6, and its very close cousin, PBr33. And I hope if you are adventurous and you would like to get something new which you haven't used or experienced before, you might consider one of those two pigments. Thank you for watching and have a great day.